everyone, and welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host, and joining me today as my co-host is my good buddy David. Hello, David.
Hi, Pam. How are you doing this evening?
I'm okay. For a second, I thought I lost you there. I have to forewarn everybody. I did my music show earlier. When I called in to interview my guest, the wonderful phone system again cut me off, and I had to call right back in. So if that happens, David, you go ahead and keep talking with our wonderful guest tonight, okay, until I call back in. So I'm just forewarning you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
But today we're so very, very happy to have with us actor Michael-Swan. And some of you may know him as Duncan, and I'm not sure how to say the last name. Is it McKechnie? McKechnie on As the World Turns?
McKechnie. Like
McKechnie.
Donna
Okay.
McKechnie, for those of you who remember Donna McKechnie.
Or as Adam Alexander on The Bold and the Beautiful, as well as many other roles on television and film. And I must not forget to mention he was also named, not once, but twice, one of the top 10 most handsome men in the U.S. by Man Watchers of America. So welcome, Michael.
Yes, okay. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
I don't get that type
Thanks
of an intro.
Well, it's always nice.
I read that.
You did. Hey. It's always, I always say, thanks, Mom and Dad. It's all about your genes. So that's how that works.
Definitely.
And it is all in the eye of the beholder.
That's true. And you've got a lot of eyes in your beholder that agree with it. But you take such great care of yourself. I mean, I was looking back at pictures from, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, and that you have up there, and pictures of you now. And my gosh, what is your exercise regimen like?
Well, I'm just, I'm trying to do what anybody would try to do. I'm trying to delay the ravages of father time and, make it all last longer because I'm having such a good time and always have. So I go to the gym probably 5 times a week. I try to make sure that wherever I am, if I'm on location or something, there's a place I can work out. Because, early on in my career, nobody really was – the only guy that was into it was Arnold. That was also acting. And so – you didn't really think about it too much. You just kind of tried to keep yourself in shape. But it was the soaps that did it to me because all of a sudden I'm having to take my shirt off every other day. And if you want to remain competitive, and it's a very competitive business, you got to do what's necessary. So then what happens is it's like a runner. It releases the endorphins, and you get used to it, and it feels good. So you just keep doing it.
Yeah, I could see that happening. A lot of times you'll know when an upcoming storyline is going to have some men with their shirts off because they're talking about it on Twitter or somewhere that they got to work out because they got a scene coming up,
Exactly.
So I would imagine.
And diet down and all that stuff. So, but I mean, that's just the reality of the competitive nature of the business.
Definitely, and thankfully most of them do it the correct way and just don't starve themselves and do a bunch of protein drinks and that's it. You got to keep healthy while you're doing it.
Well, you got to try anyway.
Yep. Definitely.
Sometimes you have to do. Sometimes actually, about once a year, I will do a fast of 5 or 6 days. Sometimes 7, 8 days. Of just nothing but water, and cayenne pepper, lemon juice, little grade B maple syrup, and that's always helpful for cleaning yourself out and starting over again.
But how are you not hungry when you're drinking only that?
Oh, you are hungry. And anybody that says
you are, okay.
anybody that you hate anybody that says pizza or pancakes. And, you know, you just don't hate that. Or Reuben sandwich. Get away from me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, you know, once a year you do that. Actually, I'm going to start one tomorrow. So there you go.
Oh, well, the best of luck to you. I'm sure you can do it since you've done it many times before. Now,
it's not that difficult.
Going back a little bit, yeah. Well, once you get used to doing it, I'm sure. Going back a little bit, when did you know you wanted to be an actor?
Let's see. My mother dropped me off one summer at the Palo Alto Children's Community Theater. I was 9 years old, and I didn't really kind of ever have any kind of epiphany or anything. It's just what I did in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became, as I got older, I was part of the regular Palo Alto Community Theater, and just did that. And then I just fell into having an agent in San Francisco. So it just, I just always enjoyed it. So I never had that thing of, I want to be an actor. I didn't do that. It just was what I was doing, and I just kept doing it. So it was fun. I enjoyed it, and, you know, people clapped, and that was good.
And you get paid for it.
Yeah, later in life,
time,
yes.
Anyhow.
You know, when I started in San Francisco as a professional, then I started getting paid for it. And so I was working in Napa Valley making wine, and every once in a while I'd get a call from the Brebner Agency in San Francisco, and I'd go do a job as an extra in a movie or a TV show, and I would get paid for it, and that was great.
Yeah, definitely. And making wine. What more can you ask for?
Well, that was a lot of fun. But then the day came when I moved down to L.A. because I landed a recurring role on Medical Center with Chad Everett, and also a recurring role in a show with Jack Palance called Bronk. And my Uncle Joe said to me one day at the winery, he said, well, you got to make up your mind. What do you want to do? Want to be a winemaker or an actor? So I made up my mind.
Yeah, I think you did. And good for us.
Good for us.
Now, who were your biggest role models when you were growing up?
People always love. I love this question because all of these people have something in common, and see if you can guess what it is. Spencer Tracy, George C. Scott, William Holden. Even just those three guys. I mean, there are a few others, but they all have something in common.
Yeah, great actors. Mm-hmm.
They were great actors.
They were.
I
love watching the black and white movies. They were phenomenal.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And you know, you learn so much from watching them. And I did as a young film student, watching actors on film.
Do you have any preference as far as working in theater or television or films?
Not really. My preference is that I get a paycheck, and that's about it. I really don't care. Theater, really, I did a lot of theater when I was younger. I was part of the original company out here in Topanga Canyon at the Will Gear Theatricum Botanicum, where we did a lot of Shakespeare and contemporary American plays and Greek tragedies, and that was fun when I was in my 20s and even into my 30s. But I love about what I do is that there's time off between what you do. When you do theater, there's not a lot of time off. You're doing 8 performances a week, and
right.
And I love the connection with the audience, but I'm doing the same thing every night, trying to make it fresh every night, which is a challenge. So I haven't done a lot of theater in the last 20 years or so, but every once in a while I'll go up to the Theatricum Botanicum and and stand in for somebody or, do a short run of something. And it's always fun. But mostly what I do now is independent films, TV, and commercials, and more and more voice work as I get older and my voice gets more decrepit.
Oh, no, you have a wonderful voice.
No.
And yes, you do, especially your singing voice, like I mentioned to you before. We were quite delighted with those music videos over the holidays.
That was fun for me. I enjoy doing that. It's always and I'm always challenging my friend Bobby Eakes. Say, I can do this. Why don't you do this? Of course, she won't. She's such a great professional, but she has a lot of fun with it. So we tease each other about it.
Yeah. Now, did you take singing lessons, or did this all come naturally?
My mother was an opera singer. So I grew up with her rehearsing every day, and I would rehearse along with her. And then I discovered musical theater as a young man because she did a one-woman show of all the famous musicals of the 50s, and did quick changes and everything, and came out as the different leading ladies of the different shows. And so I would listen to the shows, and I would sing along with the LPs, and then I would go with her sometimes to her vocal coaches in Saratoga. Her vocal coach was a man by the name of Robert Bias. He was a blind vocal coach, and her acting coach was Lillian Fontaine, Joan Fontaine, and Olivia de Havilland's mother in Saratoga, California.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I grew up amongst all of that stuff, but I would listen to what Robert Bias was telling Mom when she would go for her lessons. And I would practice at home by myself. And then later, when I was an irreverent, kind of wild, crazy young guy growing up and going to high school in Honolulu, I discovered and became friends with Don Ho. And I used to go to that show at Duke Hanamoku's when it was in the back of the International Marketplace, and sneak in late at night and hang out with those guys. And, I would imitate Don. And that gave me somehow trying to imitate Don gave me some kind of resonance to my voice. So, but even more important than that, we had a lot of fun after the shows at the after parties.
Yeah, I remember Don Ho. My mom used to listen to him.
I bet.
I remember her playing his music.
Tiny
you
Bubble.
too, David? Yeah. Yeah.
I remember.
Make me happy, make me feel fine. There you go.
Wonderful. And I specifically remembered that song, too, that you chose, because my father's nickname throughout the years has always been Bubbles.
Well, I don't know if you'd be too thrilled with Tiny Bubbles, but there you go.
Well, my grandmother and my grandfather owned a tavern in Chicago, and it was called Bubbles Inn, and I guess that's where my dad got the nickname from, because he used to bartend there, so they called him Bubbles all the time.
The funny thing about that song is it made Don internationally famous, and he hated the song because it really had nothing to do with his cherished and beloved Hawaiian roots. So even as he got into his 70s, he would come out on stage and he'd say, "Okay, now here we go, gang. Got to do this. I hate this song, but it pays the bills." And then he'd sing to
Poor guy.
Oh God.
Yeah. No, what a life he had. Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah.
What a great life.
it all worked out for him in the end. Like you said, it gave him international exposure, and then he was able to sing the songs he really wanted to sing, too. So that was a good thing.
Exactly.
Now, I know you've been on quite a few shows that I watched over the years because I've read your IMDb, as you mentioned, Medical Center, I remember that, and so many others. But also including the soaps, you did quite a few of those. Now, what drew you to the soaps, or was it just a job that was offered to you initially and it went from there?
What drew me to the soaps was I had done almost 20 years of primetime television and was starting to work my way into being a director on primetime. And so I was doing, I did a new show for a producer-director friend of mine named Kenneth Johnson. He created The Incredible Hulk and V and many other shows, which I worked for him on. And we were doing a show, and he said, we did a couple of shows, and he says, now, if this gets picked up, I want you to direct an episode. So I said, okay, great. And the show didn't get picked up, and about the same time, the agent called me and said, I was actually in Covington, Georgia, shooting Friday the 13th, Part 6. And my agent called and said, they want to fly you to New York to do a screen test. You can do a Scottish accent, right? And I said, oh, sure. And so they said, they want to fly you to New York and have you do a screen test for As the World Turns. I said, okay. So I flew to New York and did the screen test for As the World Turns, and then my agent called and said, they want to pay you this much money every week, and you're going to sign a contract. At that point, I had just had a baby daughter, and I said, well, okay. Now, actually, the funny story about that is I'm doing Friday the 13th, Part 6 in Covington, Georgia, and Tony Goldwyn is on the movie with me, and we become pals and hang around and, you know, do crazy things, go up to Atlanta and have fun together at night. He said to me one day, he said, you know, you should do soaps. And I said to Tony, I would never do a soap opera if you lit a fire under me.
Oh, wow.
And for many years, I haven't seen him for several years, but he teased me about that for years because, you know, I would see him in New York at voiceover auditions and stuff, and he'd say, hey, something's going pretty good, isn't it, buddy? Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so they said, we'll pay you this much money every week, and, you know, I said, wow, okay. So I stuck with it, and then I stuck with it again, and then I stuck with it again. And, you know, after a while, I'd been doing it for 12 years or so. And so it worked out great for me, and you know, I was so lucky to be able to create the character of Duncan McKechnie and have such great writers. And Douglas Marland, of course, was the writing genius, one of the creators, along with Erna Phillips and Bill Bell, of the whole genre. So it was great to have those pioneers and Douglas behind the creation of Duncan McKechnie, which for many years was way too much fun.
Yeah. Now, I know David had some questions for you about As the World Turns. David, why don't you go ahead and ask your questions?
Okay, thank you, Pam. Michael, you said, what was the audition circuit like for As the World Turns back then? I know you mentioned they had your screen test, but were you called in specifically, or?
Let me give you a little background, David. 3 years earlier, I had been called in for a role on The Guiding Light, which they had come out to L.A. to do a search for this character that they wanted. And I did not do a regular audition. I was called directly into a screen test because little did I know that the head of daytime in New York at that time was a fellow by the name of Laurie Queso for CBS. Right. And he already knew my work from way back to the medical center. And the other shows that I had done for CBS back at that time in the late 70s. And so they called me in directly to test for Guiding Light. And they came out, and when I was finished with the screen test, and said, "Thank you very much, that was terrific, blah, blah, blah." And I did not get the role. So obviously I didn't think about it and continued doing what I was doing in prime time and at movies and blah, blah, blah. And then here it is 3 years later, and I'm, like I say, in Covington, Georgia, and they said, "We want to fly you to New York, and we want you to test for this Scottish character." And so I said, "Okay," and that's it. There is a story. I'm not sure of the truth of this, but I've heard it from a couple of different people, including Maggie Reed. When I screen tested, at the end of the scene, I grabbed Maggie and kissed her. None of the other guys apparently did that. So there you go.
Oh boy, the kiss won it.
That's the legend, anyway.
Oh wow, that's great. Well, that's good. What were the most challenging moments of playing Duncan McKechnie?
Well, every day is a challenge when you're doing that, because you have to, and this sounds so trite, but you really do have to find a way to make it as real as possible, no matter what kind of acting you're doing. And so that's always a challenge, particularly if the dialogue is kind of not, as my great friend Darlene Conley used to say, "Well, that doesn't reflect human behavior." So, the bottom line was it wasn't really that much of a challenge. Look at the people I got to work with. I got to work with the most talented people. Colleen Zink, who to this day is absolutely brilliant. I saw her about 5 months ago in a play up in Hudson called Looped, which was about Tallulah Bankhead. And she just did it absolutely to a T. She was brilliant. So Colleen and Maggie was a kind of a little comic genius. She was a kind of a little Lucille Ball, and
yeah, she was.
And then Tamara, having had this wonderful interracial relationship with Tamara, and historically we had. Jessica and Duncan had the first interracial baby born on network television.
That's true. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I stay in touch with them on Facebook and through social media. In fact, today, Martha McVeigh and I were teasing each other a little bit. She posted something about she was on an audition and some guy that was 50 years old plus was trying to imbue some motivation on a coffee cup, and she thought that was kind of weird. And so I teased her. I said, okay, well, that's understandable. So he was a wacko, or he was just trying to pick you up. But what's with the importance of being 50 plus? I know he's just a guy that is interested in a girl, and so she wrote back, the 50 plus is just, if he was trying to pick me up, he needs to get out more. So it's fun to, that's what I like about the social media thing is you get to stay in touch with people, and you get to remember and cultivate each other's sense of humor as we march on.
Most definitely. And it's, it's not so easy these days to keep in touch with people via the natural route. So, social media, people have that on their phones, and that's the easier way to do it.
Right. And, it's a fun way to, maintain your friendship and your sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's, I'm very happy it's around. Stay young, yes.
David, did you have another question?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I was just waiting for more. Okay.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm gonna give you a name, and then you tell me what each one brought to your table. Okay?
I'll do my best.
Maggie Reed.
Maggie Reed introduced me to not only New York. I had never been to New York. Maggie Reed introduced me to New York and the world of New York theater and the world of New York museums and the world of New York art and art history and culture and the world of soaps. She was a great inspiration for me early on when I was on World Turns. And, I don't know what I would have done without her.
I don't know if there would have been a Duncan and Shannon without her.
Well, there wouldn't have, exactly.
Right. Okay. Tamara Tooney?
Well, Tamara, like I say, that was so rich in the story in and of itself because of the interracial aspect. But Tamara is one of the most beautiful women inside and out that I've ever known. And also very, very smart woman. And it was a pleasure to work with her. We had a lot of, knockdown, drag-out scenes. And, they were fun to do because she is such a total professional.
She is. I mean, you two were like a powerhouse.
Well, thanks. Yeah, she was marvelous to work with. It's just it came so easy.
Okay. Colleen Zank?
Well, Colleen, who I still see occasionally when I go to New York, was who introduced me to the inner workings of soap opera, because everything I'd done up until As the World Turns was, a 35 millimeter one Panavision camera. And all of a sudden I'm working in this new media where there are three cameras and some director off in some booth somewhere, this disembodied voice telling me what to do, and this other person giving me notes from that director. And Colleen was really, really very helpful in helping me not upstage myself with three cameras, and teaching me the ins and outs of the etiquette of soap opera, and teaching me like what an egg was and what all of this stuff, this nomenclature. I had no idea what that meant. And then when they put us together, which they did pretty quickly. I mean, I was actually with Colleen before I was with Shannon. I was with Barbara before I was with Shannon. I'll tell you this one funny story. So we have a scene, and we have to kiss in this scene. And Colleen was always very matter-of-fact and very professional. And so we were rehearsing, and I went to kiss her, and she just kind of very quickly put her finger in between our lips and said, "No tongue."
Oh.
That's a quick lesson.
I thought you'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cute.
Oh, that was good. Okay.
Well, I got a quick one for you. Darlene Conley, who I absolutely loved dearly as Sally Spectra on The Bold and the Beautiful. What's your most fondest memory of her?
Well, yesterday was the, I think, 7th anniversary of Darlene's passing.
Oh, my God.
She was a remarkable person, an extraordinary person, and a very good friend. She was my pal, as she was many people's pal. And, we had the best time together on and off camera. She would take me, she had season tickets to the Hollywood Bowl, and she would just call me up and say, Michael, let's go to the Bowl. We'd go to the Bowl and see extraordinary artists and have great dinners and with her friends, and who also became my friends. And and then we'd go back to her place and sit up and talk till 4 o'clock in the morning. And she was just, as many people have said about her, a force of nature. And we were the best of friends, and I miss her.
Yeah, you could definitely see what a wonderful, strong person she was, even just through her acting.
Yeah, I have her picture on my bureau.
Ah, well, God bless her. Nice. I'm sure she's watching down over you.
Oh, she's humming in a monotone somewhere, waiting for Kathy to do her hair.
Well,
oh, yeah. God.
Well, we have a couple of people on hold that would like to speak with you. Are you ready to take a couple of calls?
Sure.
Okay, good. Thank you. The first one is Chris. Chris, go ahead. You're live on the air.
Hey, Michael.
Hello, Chris.
This is Chris Pickle.
Oh, my goodness. How are you? Oh, my goodness. We're actually speaking to one another. That's great.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, Pam and David, Chris has been a big supporter in social media of my career and has posted so many wonderful and obscure things about my career. It's a pleasure to talk to you, Chris.
And you as well. I haven't counted how many pictures I actually posted because I know there'd be so many of them.
Oh, I let's just say there are thousands.
Well, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. So, are you in the cold up there? It's pretty chilly.
Yeah, there's another snowstorm on my doorstep again, and it's pretty cold up here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hate to say this, but it was 84 degrees in Studio City today.
84? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to move down there to
not
California.
Fair when you're talking up. Yeah, it's not fair. I'm in Chicago. David's in New York, and it's freezing.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, anything pressing, Chris, or did you just want to say hi? Or
I just wanted to say hi to you.
Well, I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure to talk to you after all this time knowing you on social media.
Yes, and you as well.
All right, sir. You stay warm.
Care. Well, thanks for calling in, Chris.
All right.
Thank you for calling, Chris.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, and the next one, I didn't get a name yet, so it's area code 559. You're live on the air.
Hi, Michael. This is a voice from your very long ago past. We used to date the same girl. Huh?
We used to date the same girl.
Yeah. Foothill.
Is this from Foothill days? Oh, my God.
Yes.
So where are you?
Okay, I'm up in Fresno, California. But
you're in Fresno. Okay.
Yeah, but I was the assistant stage manager when we were doing The Lark.
Oh, I remember. And her name was, I remember I used to call her the Rabbit.
Yes,
and
you're right.
What was her name? Cheryl?
Cheryl, with an S.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Cheryl.
Yes.
But it's because of social media, Michael, that Hank Barr is calling you to say hello.
Well, I really appreciate it. That's this is great. Good. Social media has done so much for all of us, and it's so great to stay in touch. And for Pam and David, this is Hank Barr, who I didn't see for years after Foothill, and we had the same girlfriend, and I don't know if we ever got jealous about that with each other, but years later I saw you in New York, didn't I?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And I had brought into Jimmy Armstrong's saloon, and I think we had a couple drinks at my bar, didn't we? Yeah.
That's right. That was in 94.
Right. Wow.
That was in 94. I was filming Cops.
That's right. You were You were shooting it in the back seat of Cops. That's right. Hank was a cameraman at that time doing ride-alongs on the show. Cops.
Yeah, and I've got the world's record of being in the back seat of a squad car without being hooked or booked. But and before that, I remember going out to Will Gear's place and watching you in Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, you came out and saw Shrew. Oh my God!
Yeah, with Rob Wheeler.
Did we say hi afterwards? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Oh God! Wow.
That was
people don't. When we were talking about this earlier, Pam and David, we were talking about my doing theater. Yeah, I think I got a little burned out on theater at Theatricum Botanicum because Shrew, I loved that role so much. I did it for 7 seasons.
Jeez.
I did it from 1977 through 1984.
Wow.
And then they just didn't do it for a while. And now they did it again. This year they revived it, and it was wonderful to watch.
Wow.
At my age, thinking, God, I could still do that. But do I really want to? So, yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, Hank.
Yeah, of our age.
Do you ever get down this way?
Well, actually, I retired from Cops after 25 years as an associate producer because I got tired of getting shot at, Michael.
I'm sure.
And so, but actually, I'll probably be moving back down to L.A. before the end of the year. I've got some projects. You don't retire from this business ever, Michael. You just die doing it, which is the way I like to go. But I was so happy to get back connected with you with social media. I tell you, Pam and David, this gentleman is a gentleman, and we were all sorry way back Foothill. He decided to become a winemaker, and we're saying, no, that's not where you belong, Michael. So I'm so happy that you got back with the stomach turns and whatnot. And
that's right, yes.
But anyway, I look forward to connecting with you again, brother. And I just wanted to say hello and tell you how proud I am of you. We've watched your career for 47 years, buddy.
Good Lord. All right. Thanks very much for calling. And please do get in touch with me when you get this way.
Okay. Will do. All right. Well, God bless.
All right.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling in. Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye.
Oh, you talk about a blast from the past, huh?
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah. And both, isn't it interesting, both calls were as a result of social media.
Of course.
Because Hank and I would not have reconnected if it weren't for social media.
Right.
Because, like I say, the last time we saw each other was 1984. 1994 in New York when he was doing Cops. And I think I tried to go on a ride-along with him or something, and it just never worked out. But anyway, that was great to hear from him.
What a job to have, too. Like he said, getting shot at. I mean, I watched that show for how many years? My gosh. I couldn't imagine being the cameraman for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he put himself in danger probably every day.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thankfully he's still here with us, and you guys will meet up in L.A.
Yes, and that's reality TV, and that's exactly why I prefer fantasy, theatrical TV, as opposed to reality TV.
Right. Can't say I blame you there.
Yeah.
Well, I have one last question for you before I let you go. Okay. What would Michael now say to 16-year-old Michael as far as advice?
Oh, my God. That's like, what's his name at the actor's studio that uses the French guy? That's a good question. I have no idea. I don't even recall 16-year-old Michael. I have no idea. I don't remember what he was like. I know he had. I know he had discovered red wine a few years earlier. I don't. 16-year-old Michael.
Well, how about 32-year-old Michael? I'll give you a little leeway there.
Well, I was just going to tell you about 16-year-old Michael. I think I would have told him the.
Okay.
And you may know this joke, and I can't repeat it, but it's the old joke of the old bull and the young calf on the hill. That's probably what I would have told 16-year-old Michael. 32-year-old Michael, I would have probably told him to hold out for a director's job.
There you go.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay.
Just kidding, huh? Okay. Are you going to be doing any directing in the near future? Is that something that you'd like to be doing more of?
Actually, I have been doing a little bit of directing. I've been directing promo stuff for people that are trying to get their movies looked at. I've been doing promos for spec movies and spec TV shows. It's just an incidental thing, and I enjoy doing it. Mostly what I'm doing these days is a lot of voiceover, a lot of commercials, and independent films. Oh, by the way, that thing you printed on Twitter that has sort of a bio of me, I don't know where that came from, but it's all accurate except for Roger Corman doesn't direct those films. Roger Corman produces and releases those films. They're directed by, I'm talking about the CGI monster films that I do, like Dino-Croc and Camel Spiders, Anaconda. Those are directed by the infamous Jim Wynorski.
Okay. I got it off of Wikipedia, so obviously they didn't have it right.
Well, Wikipedia. There you go. That's never trust them for accuracy. But I just wanted to correct that if anybody has read that. That Roger doesn't really direct anything. He releases, produces, and releases. For that. Yeah.
And for Anaconda, you worked with Terry Ivins.
Terry, who was also a soap actor. That's right, and she was fun and wonderful, and we had a good time. And Rachel Hunter, was fun to work with, and I got to kiss her, and that was great.
Woohoo!
Good, fun stuff, and. And I work, when I do those pictures, I work with a lot of the same company. Jim Wynorski, the director, uses a lot of the same people, so it's always great to see each other, and we always have a good time when we do those films, especially when we get to do them in Hawaii or the Bahamas or, then that's especially a lot of fun.
Definitely. Where's the best place you've ever been as far as, a state or a country or something? What's your favorite?
Oh, God, that's tough. Well, I went to high school in Hawaii, and I worked for the Army in Germany, and when I played Duncan, I would take an annual trip to Edinburgh just to immerse myself in the accent, and
right.
And I actually looked up the real, and there were several of them, but I found one that was especially from Duncan McKechnie, who was a plumber in Edinburgh, and sat down and had a few glasses of scotch with him, and but I think of all the places I've been, I love Italy, and I love Paris, and I love Spain. I ran with the Bulls in 1972 in Pamplona.
Oh my God!
And, yeah. There was a period of my life where I thought I should try and recreate the life of Ernest Hemingway without having to write it. I just drink and wander around Spain, and so that was that was recreating the life of Ernest Hemingway. But we, I think, to be honest with you, I always, believe it or not, and people think I'm crazy for this, I always look forward to going back to, and New York City. Good Lord. I always love going back to New York City. But I think the place that is most in my heart is Waikiki.
One of these days I've got to get to all the places that you just said. I got to win the lottery first.
Yeah.
I did most of that. I did most of that as a very young man, where I didn't have really any responsibilities. So,
yeah.
But I have good friends in New York, and I always love going back and visiting my friends in New York City, including Colleen and my friend Ron Pobuda, and the wonderful young actress Karina Arayave, who was on As the World Turns. You guys should call Karina, who does quite a bit of theater work and has done some famous movie roles. She played the maid on played Liz Hubbard's maid on As the World Turns.
Oh,
little teeny Karina Arayave.
Yeah, her Bianca.
Yes, Bianca.
Right?
I was trying to think. Thank you, David. I was trying to think of her name, her character. Yeah, Bianca, because she's there. Actually, she's doing a play that's just now about to open in Philadelphia. I'm sure she'd love to talk to you. She's on Facebook.
Oh, we'll have to go check her out then. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sure.
We just have to see if I can remember.
I'll say Michael sent us to find you.
There you go. Yeah, blame it on me.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to her. And David is the big As the World Turns aficionado, so he would know a lot about her character too.
Yes, well, he's the one that came up with the name that the character name that I couldn't think of. But the soaps were so much fun for me, and so great. And we didn't talk much about The Bold and the Beautiful, but that was a fun character to create too. And I'm glad we got to talk about Darlene Connolly, who was just such a wonderful human being. And of course, my pal Bobby Eakes, Bobby is actually headlining, I think, right about now or next week on a big Bahamas cruise for one of the big lines, like the Royal Caribbean or Princess or one of the two. Sorry, Bobby, I can't remember.
Oh, wow.
But she did a one-woman show here recently in Palm Springs, where she lives now, and it was the house was packed. A rather large venue, and absolutely slammed to the walls. And she was brilliant. She will continue to have a wonderful career as a singer and entertainer.
Yes, she will. She's
I have one of the CDs from All My Children. I think it was a Christmas one they put out, and she was on there singing. A lot of actors that you don't even realize that can sing. I love when they put out CDs like that, because then you get to learn more about them and enjoy their wonderful singing voices.
Right. Well, when we were on, when I was still on As the World Turns, we had a show called Bubbles, which was Kim Zimmer, me, Cassie DePaiva, only she wasn't DePaiva yet, and several others. And we did a review, a singing show, and toured it in the Northeast. And it was so much fun to do. And then later, I sang at the Las Vegas Hilton for a while.
Oh my gosh, how nice!
After I finished The Bold and the Beautiful, I went and sang for a while at the Las Vegas Hilton, and that was fun. But they really didn't know how to promote a soap opera person. So anyway, it was fun while it lasted, I sing around here occasionally. Once in a while, I sing for some of the charity events around here, the Motion Picture Mothers.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Other charitable organizations. Yeah. So anyway,
St. Jude.
It's.
Did you do St. Jude?
I many years ago. In fact, I think about 10 years ago, Martha asked me and Maggie to sing at one of her St. Jude events, her big annual St. Jude event. And Maggie ended up having to work. She was working on a movie. And I really didn't have anything that I was prepared to do solo. So I would have loved to have done that, but I didn't. And I regret not having done it then. But I do here for... mostly for events around the Motion Picture Home out here in Calabasas, trying to make sure that we maintain that and keep the Motion Picture Home viable for all of us that will have to be there one day.
That's wonderful that you keep giving back like that. I mean, there's not a better feeling knowing that you helped in some way, somehow. People that are either young or old.
True.
Well, that, and I just love to sing, as you have seen on Facebook. So
yes. Yes,
there you go.
And don't just keep that for the holidays. You can put them out anytime. I enjoy watching them. And you get a lot of comments on them, so you know that everybody loves them.
Yeah, it seems to me, though, there has to be some kind of event or occasion that causes me to do it, because otherwise it's just me being totally self-indulgent.
But that's all right, though.
Maybe we'll start treat you like a jukebox and say, okay, Michael, sing this song.
Okay, yeah, I will take requests. No problem.
We'll send you the quarter in the mail.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out to join us today. It's really been a lot of fun speaking with you, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you. And anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome.
Oh, please let us know.
It's been a pleasure. Both of you, David and Pam, I really enjoyed it, and thank you so much. And I look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Peter.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Michael.
Well, that was so much fun. I mean, I learned things that I didn't know about him. That was a lot of fun.
I know.
And I watched him on The Bold and the Beautiful and on One Life to Live, and you watched him on Bold and Beautiful, and you watched him on As the World Turns. I watched Medical Center, and quite a few other ones that he's been on, and I would love to go back. Now that I know who he is at this point in time in my life, when you're watching those types of shows back in the day, well, of course I was younger then. I didn't care who was on it. It was just, a good show. And you know who the main characters are, and that's it. So I'd love to go back and see if I could find some of those episodes, maybe on YouTube or something, and watch and see if I can point out, oh, there's Michael,
Yeah. He was.
That would be so much fun.
He's a really powerful actor. He's really.
Yeah, definitely.
He commands. Remember the same thing I said about Jerry. He's like Jerry. He has a presence. He can just walk in the room and nothing has to happen. There's a presence.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful man. And then such a sweetheart to talk to. And I can see why so many people love him.
Yes, I never had the chance to meet him.
I just recently found him on Facebook.
You did. That's right. No, I've never met him because when I went to the As the World Turns luncheon, that was in 2003, and he was already gone about 5-10 years already. So I never got the opportunity to meet him back then. So
well, maybe next time he goes to New York City, you guys can hook up for coffee or something. I think that would be nice.
He is. No, I always enjoyed the Douglas Marland years on As the World Turns.
Yeah. I hear that from a lot of people. I wish I could have been able to watch it, but unfortunately I was an ABC person at that time, and I watched all the ABC soaps. Yeah.
Now, did you see that one question that I sent you? I didn't get a chance to ask him, but it was about that one scene that his ex-wife was psychotic, and her name was Lilith. And Maggie Reed was playing the soon-to-be wife, Shannon. And supposedly what they did, that I don't know, because she was some sort of like a headhunter or something like that, and that she made his character and everyone else look like she murdered her, and then chopped her head off and shrunk it and put it on a stick.
Oh, Lordy B.
They show that's the first time
that's something you see in a sci-fi show.
Yeah, it was. So I want you to imagine this, though. The audience was shocked when she came back.
I could,
about a couple years later.
After seeing a shrunken head.
Yeah. So everyone, and I think even the cast was shocked that she was able to come back from that. So I guess I was like, it's more like a hypnotic thing, and she made everyone think that that's what she did. So that's how they explained it.
Yeah.
But
funny.
She was.
Well, yeah. I would say ask him on his Facebook. I'm sure he'll tell you.
I will. I'm going to ask him that. Now,
and just for our listeners, if you're not a friend of his on Facebook, be sure to request him as a friend. You can go to facebook.com/SwanActor, and on Twitter he's also on there @SwanActor. And reach out and give him a holler. Talk to him. I'm sure that he'd be happy to hear from you. And I want to thank our two callers that called in as well. It was really nice of you to do. And And Hank sounded like a really interesting person, too, didn't he?
He did, yes. I can't believe.
I'm sure Michael knows a lot of people like that, you know, in front of the scenes and behind the scenes that are quite talented.
They are. Oh, my.
So, anyways, I guess we'll go ahead and close the show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Take Two Radio, and that's with the number 2. Follow David and my other co-host, Sabina, at Take Two Radio Crew. I want to make sure I say that. I want to throw music in there. I'm so used to telling my other Twitter. Take Two Radio Crew. And check out our website at take2radio.com for upcoming guests, previous podcasts, and more. Follow us on Blog Talk. They'll send you an email each and every time we have a show scheduled, and that way you won't miss your favorites. You can always call in and speak with our guests if you'd like. The phone number is 1-718-506-1540 and press 1. As you can tell, our guests always love to speak with the callers. They have no issue with that, and they're very down to earth and very easy to talk to. So don't ever be afraid to, call in and say hello. If that's all you got to say, just call in and say hello. They love to hear from you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close the show. Other guests, and check out the website or Twitter or Facebook. We have a Facebook page, too, for our upcoming guests. Once I get them booked, I'll go ahead and put those out there. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining me, David, tonight, and we'll see you again soon.
Yep. Stay tuned, everyone. And good night.
Yep, and stay warm. Good night.
Good night.